Welcome back, and hello if you are new guys. I hope that everything's going well with all of you. As I'm sure you guys know, October 22nd was absolutely stacked for releases, but it seems that October 29th is just as busy. So I've actually got 3 reviews that I'm going to be putting out this week, and I will literally jump right into it. Whitechapel's Kin. So, sonically and conceptually, this album picks off literally where The Valley finished. It's an album that has a common thread through it, and although it is a concept album, it definitely has a definable tone literally the second that you put this on. The Valley was pretty much full of anger and aggression, whereas I think Kin is very much more of a kind of melancholic introspection, and there's a lot of like searching within oneself. It's slower and not as thrash as I thought it might have been, but it's still incredibly varied. Kin can go from like ridiculously heavy, like To the Wolves and I Will Find You, which personally I think is my favourite Whitechapel song to date. War is coming with me, our only hope is... But then it instantly kind of showcases some of their most vulnerable and really stripped back material, like for example Without You. So obviously the clean vocals that were really kind of extrapolated on The Valley are definitely here, but the fact that you've got kind of clean and then the aggressive vocals creates kind of like a nice yin and yang effect, and again creates that same idea of that there's these characters kind of like discussing between themselves and fighting this inner turmoil. And that actually leads me to my biggest point for why I think Kin is such a brilliant album, is because it's not afraid to show its vulnerability. And with that in mind, acoustic guitar has become kind of more of an integral part of the band, and, you know, looks at different dynamics rather than just kind of like a gimmick or like, you know, something to just stick on. And without a doubt, you know, some of the vocally, I think, standout tracks are History is Silent, which have some really, really cool inflections that reminded me of, like, you know, Maynard James Keenan, and Orphan as well. These are, like, without a doubt, Phil Bozeman's best tracks on this album.
What's it like to be where the grass is always green? Remind me to sleep. And I can bear to see you bury alive.
I also think the lyrics on this album are really, really profound. And they have little things where they kind of nod to The Valley, but only in sort of like maybe a word here or there. Like, for example, Phil says about the other side and, you know, like the demon is dead and things like that. So it's very much its own entity, but with nods to its previous. The album also features, as I mentioned, one of my favourite tracks, which is I Will Find You. And this literally opens the album. It's like an adrenaline shot into the listener, and it immediately puts you in the same vibe as The Valley, but it's also completely different at the same time. And it's a perfect sort of like 1-2 punch with Lost Boy as well. But that riff and the way that the chorus is structured with the kind of I will find, and then it ends with I will find you. Guitar solos also are very, very conscious of melody, and most importantly, they go on a journey. I always think that's so important with a guitar solo, is that, you know, you can shred as much as you want, but if there's no sense of drama or dynamism, then what's the point? And a great example of that is the final track, Kin, which I think is just absolutely fantastic. This is also Alex Rudinger's first performance with the band. I know he's been playing live with them for some time, but he smashes it, honestly. Like, there's so many little intricate fills here and there, and, you know, lots of different things that is very much signature Rudinger style, but it's also very much in the same Whitechapel vibe. On Kin, however, they've tightened up those moments that were a little bit lackluster. They've explored even more their sound. You know, there's elements of like alt rock in here, like particularly on Anti-Cure. And quite honestly, I'm really surprised at how much I love this album. You know, I've always been a Whitechapel fan, but this is like getting into my top 5 albums of the year. It is absolutely spectacular. So I hope you guys enjoyed this album review. If you did, it'd be great if you hit that like and subscribe button, as every YouTuber says. And yeah, leave a comment underneath and let me know what you think. I'd always love to hear what your opinions are. And other than that, I will see you this week for another review. Take care, my friends.